What's up, guys? Medium Aside here, and today we're live on stream with a discussion video. I've been trying to switch up the format, mostly because I'm not sure how I want to structure my videos because I already don't do things with a script. However, the reason is that my laptop is very bad and I can't get a PC anytime soon. So I'm trying to figure out how to have my stream looking active and my videos looking active without just having me sitting in front of a camera talking all the time, as well as, having something in the background. So I was like, okay, well, I've seen some videos, and, guys that be doing, like, the manga discussions and the video discussions, they be having their Twitch chat right there. So I'm like, okay, cool, I've never minded that, so I'd see, like, okay, well, how do I do that? Now, granted, there's, like, no one in the chat right now at all, which, starting videos, I'm not expecting a bunch of people to join and stuff like that. Eventually, once we start getting more people, you'll see the chat there. That way you can be active and live on stream with me, and you can watch the videos later. So I can have half and half. I can have content for people who watch me live, and I'll have content for people who watch me while I'm streaming live. No, I messed up there. I might have to cut that out. I'm probably not going to cut it out. I'm going to try to make as little edits to this video as possible. That's the whole point of it being live. Yeah, I just don't want to have to, like, stop, cut, take, and stuff like that too right now. So yeah, I'm live on Twitch. I'm going to try to be more live. I don't think I was live that often like last week. I think we did like one stream last week, which is not good. I definitely got to be live more active. I got to be live more often. See, we're already messing up. Which is already a great start to this video. But I'm going to skip the introductions because I kind of want to just jump straight into the video. So, let me drink some water real quick. Dude, I guess the reason why I'm formatting the videos like this is because I'm not a deep depth analysis person. Like, if I was forming a video essay, I wouldn't do this. These are just discussion videos on things that I like and things that people might ask me about or my opinion about or whatever. If I was to do some like super big video essay analysis, I probably wouldn't even show myself. And if I would, it'd be like more of like a I guess like more of a theatrical thing for me. I'm very big into the theatrics and stuff like that. So for me, if I'm just talking about random things or things that I like, or because like the thing I'm talking about today, which is Hajime no Ippo, I don't have a structure to it. I might add clips and scenes, but the problem with that so much now is that all this copyright stuff, it just makes it hard to add music and add stuff like that. Speaking of which, I have to add music to this video afterwards, right? And I have to get music going in the stream too and stuff like that. But no, like while I'm going on, like, I guess like a things that I like journey and stuff like that, I'm pretty much familiar with most of the stuff that happens in Hajime no Ippo. And because I don't want to talk about a specific thing, like if this was a video essay on the character arc of Ippo or something like that, then I'd have to like take notes, stuff like that, like I do with the chapter reviews or things I don't want to take notice of. But I literally just want to talk about a series that I like. And I also have to, I'm a big critic, I'm a big skeptic and stuff like that. So I always like, talk to my friends, and they just like, they hear earfuls of things that I like talk about, and like those aren't scripted when I'm talking to my friends. So basically this is just like, the same way I talk to my friends about all this stuff for hours, I'm going to be talking to you guys about this stuff for hours, right? So, I think I've done introductions long enough. I think I'll just jump straight into the video. So let's get started, guys. Alright, boom, right? So, with Hajime no Ippo, right, I first encountered Hajime no Ippo with like a clip of Kamigawa versus Anderson, which was like from the 2013 anime, and I don't think I jumped straight into it instantly, but it's been a few years since I've gotten into Hajime no Ippo. It's definitely been like over 5 years. I've definitely been into the series for a long time. Definitely while I was in high school, right? I finished the whole series like straight through. And I've been just in love with the series ever since, and it's easily one of my top 5 mangas of all time. So much so that I've gotten, if you look at in the comments, like the chat, which is not moving right now, because there's no one here. That Flamingo was here earlier. He's off busy I don't know, working for NASA or something like that, because he has to have a good excuse for not being here when I'm making these videos, right? But yeah, he was here. I actually got him in to Hajime no Ippo recently, so he's starting to watch the anime, because like the whole series is on YouTube, at least the first 76 episodes. 75 was the main show, plus the 76, which is a DVD only tie-in, which doesn't even have a dub because they didn't get the deal for that. Like, they literally got like the Champion Road deal, but they didn't get the 76 episode deal. But I don't even think it's canon. I mean, I like the episode a lot, but I don't think it's canon. So yeah, like, he's gonna be watching it because that Flamingo is literally a super big skeptic when it comes to watching sports anime. He hasn't watched Kuroko, he hasn't watched Haikyuu, he's just studying Ippo and stuff like that. Like, he watches Battle Shonen. So I was telling him that, you know, one of the big things, actually, that could be one of our first topics. I'll actually get into that later, about Battle Shonen and stuff like that. Even though Ippo, it is actual physical fighting, that's something different, right? So boom. So I've been into Ippo for a while, and I've read things like, obviously, One Piece is my favorite manga of all time. Dr. Stone is really good, but I've also read other manga like Berserk. I'm not too big of a manga reader, so there are certain things that I missed out on. Like, I have missed out on like Kingdom or Monster or Vagabond and stuff like that. You know, those are like highly regarded and stuff like that. Like, even now, I'm not even reading that many manga weekly. I used to really like love My Hero Academia and read that weekly. I can't do it no more. It's so boring. And I know what happened in like one of the most recent chapters with a character. I guess I can say, yeah, you know, something major happened with Bakugo. I don't think like that's a spoiler to say that something major happened with like the second main character. Yeah, so that major thing that happened with Bakugo, if you know, you know. If you don't, you know. I won't be talking about spoilers for another manga. Spoilers for this manga though, Hajime no Ippo. So yeah, I'm not big on staying anime only unless it's something that I'm anime only on. For example, what am I watching anime only right now? Haikyuu, right? Haikyuu, I'm only watching anime only, right? So I wouldn't do a manga discussion about it, or if I did do a discussion on Haikyuu, I wouldn't, like, you know, I'd be like, hey, this is gonna be anime caught up only and stuff like that. I haven't read the manga and stuff like that. And the reason why I haven't read the manga for Haikyuu is because I really like to see it animated, and we're pretty close to the end from what one of my friends is telling me. So I'm like, all right, you know, I'll just wait to see it animated instead of just, you know, reading the manga, which I'm sure is phenomenal. And Hajime no Ippo is one of the things I've read manga, so there are going to be manga spoilers here, right? But yeah, I finally got him to start watching the anime, and he's like, oh yeah, I don't like boxing and stuff like that. I'm like, whatever, right? So the reason why I feel like Ippo is one of the greatest mangas ever made is because it did set the standard for shonen. I don't think it's very tropey. In fact, a lot of the things that like can be considered tropes are kind of unconventional, especially now in the, I don't know if you guys can hear the cars going off in the background, but if you can, they having a car show out there apparently. They always, I live on like the first floor of my apartment, and I live in the Bronx, so it's like, you're gonna get like loud noises. You know, if you hear Dominican music going on, it's because it's a Monday night, so I guess Monday nights mean partying time, right? But let's get back to the subject of the video, right? All right, boom. So, well, Hajime no Ippo, the reason why I feel like it's one of the best mangas ever made is because it's, you know, it's one of, it came out in like the 80s, like it came out like 87, 88, 89, one of those, right? And I wouldn't say that a lot of manga artists draw inspiration from it, but it's definitely certified as one of the greats out there. It's not probably high up as like Berserk and stuff like that, or JoJo, but you know, people put respect on Ippo's name, right? Fighting is phenomenal. That's the main one thing. But the characters are all really interesting too, which we'll talk about those characters later. Specifically, the ones that I feel like stand out. I don't think Hajime no Ippo characters are so in depth or so complex that I ever have to make a video talking about any of them, but I think I can cover them in like general discussion videos, or like, you know, because I'll definitely be talking more about things that I like Hajime no Ippo if the need arises. because I do feel like the Hajime no Ippo community in the West in America probably isn't as big. Like even if people have watched it, it's probably not something that they're sitting around anxiously waiting for. And even now, like, you know, even in Japan, it might not be that big because we're still waiting on like a fourth season. And it could get animated, it could not. It depends on how popular the manga is and how much of the demand for the fourth season is, right? And I think like what really makes Hajime no Ippo for me is like the sheer amount of like growth that the main character and Takamura go through. So Ippo is the main character, and he was bullied in school, and he always had to like take care of his mom, and that kind of I guess made him just like overall just pent up and frustrated. And luckily one day while he's getting bullied, a character named Takamura comes and rescues him, and just from there Ippo is really fascinated in boxing, and he starts it as an outlet, and eventually it grows into a career, and eventually he ends up I don't know how much I should say, at least like right here in the beginning. I'll probably just talk about general stuff and then we'll move on to spoilers and stuff like that. So I'll probably have a spoiler mark for it, right? But yeah, he ends up, you know, becoming a really strong boxer, especially right now when we're in the story. Well, when we're in the story, I'll definitely get to that, right? Okay, boom. So, with Hajime no Ippo, I think it's like, it's harder for like to appeal to people today because it's like, okay, well, what are they doing in it? And, you know, because even when I originally watched Ippo, I'm so used to like things like fighting manga starting at one point and ending at another point. So it's like, oh yeah, in Dragon Ball, we're training for the Tenkaichi Budokai. You know, they can do wacky things, and by the end of it, it's like, yeah, I'm going to the Null Void universe to fight other universes, and I'm gonna reach a level that like even rivals like the gods of this universe, while like two man children watch over us, and they can delete our universe at any point. I'm like, huh, that's a leap in quality there, huh? So it's like, you know, with Hajime no Ippo, one thing you have to get understand is that it stays consistent. It's boxing through and through. It never turns into like Ippo has to start fighting guys on the street and protect his friends, and and eventually ends up traveling the world beating the strongest boxers or strongest fighters in general. Like, it stays boxing. There's no other martial arts type even like mentioned, and if they are, they're like rare and stuff like that. Like, I think one time Takamura was beating up some characters, and he's like, oh, I won't use boxing or whatever. He starts using pro wrestling moves on them because he's at this point he's already a professional boxer, so he won't use his boxing techniques on civilians if they try to attack him. He'll just use pro wrestling moves like, you know, bridges and like suplexes and stuff like that, or clotheslines. But yeah, you know, but even those scenes are played up for comedic value, right? This is what happens when you don't script your videos, by the way, guys. You get something that's completely out of focus. But like, I just wanted to understand that I'm just talking about like I'm just trying to have a conversation about why I like this stuff. You know, this is not a video essay or an in-depth analysis on like what makes Hajime no Ippo so good. This is just what I like, and I probably should establish that in the beginning, maybe. I definitely think I'll probably create another section where, like, I just want to put a disclaimer real quick before we get into the video. Actually, I can do that right now. Actually, I'll put it at the end. This is like I said, this is great. I have to probably cut this part out because I just wanted to, I want to make sure everything flows smoothly. Yeah, now I'm definitely cutting this part out, right? Okay. All right, we're back in, right? So yeah, with Hajime no Ippo, I think what's really cool about it is that you can follow the journey of the main character, and you can actually see him grow as a person and whatnot, and you actually see him taking on like greater and greater challenges, and to the point where he just overall becomes such a great fighter that you can't help but like, you know, root for him. But then, you know, what also makes it interesting is that the characters that are part of Hajime no Ippo all feel like well established and whatnot, right? So with Ippo, he's like the main character, but then you have the other characters that follow suit, which are Takamura, Aoki, Kimura, and now Itagaki, right? And each of these characters, they all have their own story arcs and they all have their own paths. For example, Takamura is trying to win the world championship in 6 different weight classes, while his natural body weight is being a heavyweight, right? So I believe he started at junior middleweight, and he became a champion there. Now he's at, then he was at middleweight, became the champion, and then he's at super middle. He just won the super middleweight championship, so now he's gonna be moving on to, I think after super middleweight is like is it's not lightweight. It might be is it cruiserweight? Let me see. Let's see. Yeah, so now he's light heavyweight. So that next class he has to conquer is light heavyweight. Then he has to go cruiserweight, and then he has to go heavyweight, right? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah, so he has to go through 3 more weight classes, and then I think that's what's really interesting about the story is that each character has their own motivation. Like obviously, they're all heading for the top. They all want to be world champions, right? But some characters haven't even stopped there, and some characters do stop there, and you're like, you can go further than this, and you have to ask the questions is like, well, what are these character motivations, and like what drives them? And we do get answers for some of them, but a lot of the characters we still not sure about where they're going at, right? So Ippo he's a great main character, but he's not someone that you would typically expect for at this point in the story, because like the story's been going on for years. It's been close to like, it's probably been over 30 years now, right? Definitely over 30 years now. And one of the interesting things about Ippo is that he's just genuinely a nice guy. And even though he is a boxer, he doesn't have that aggression about him that, like, you know, Goku has when he's like, I want to like fight the next guy. I want to, you know, like Ippo's not doing boxing begrudgingly. He does enjoy boxing. He does enjoy fighting, but it's not like he looks at it as the sport itself. He's in love with the sport. You know, he wants to fight strong people and overcome them, not to surpass his limits, but to see how far he can go in life by dedicating himself to something he genuinely loves, right? So it's not that Ippo's trying to become, like, he's trying to get stronger for the sake of being strong. He just wants to be strong, right? And that's one of his infinite questions right now. He's like, you know, what is strength? What does it mean to be strong? And that path hasn't led him down the path of like being stronger than everyone else, because he hasn't reached that point yet, I guess, right? And I think that's what is interesting, is that everything isn't so clear, right? Because Ippo has friends that are world champions, right? Ippo has friends who are national champions. He knows people who are former champions, and he's either passed them or he's let them take the lead at this point, but he still hasn't had his answer. And I think that as he continues to go on in the story, that's probably what we're going to be interested in next, right? What's pretty cool is thank you for joining in. We're literally just like having a discussion about Hajime no Ippo right now. If you have any questions or you're interested to know anything about the show or you want any recommendations about it, please let me know, because we're literally just chatting right now, talking about my favorite series, right? Well, one of my favorite series. One Piece is still number 1, but yeah, I really appreciate you joining in. You know, so yeah, so we're, like I said, we're talking about Hajime no Ippo right now, and I'm just literally just having a discussion about like why this show is super cool, right? So I guess I haven't talked about like really like the fighting, right? So Ippo is he starts off the show relatively young, and he was nervous at first, right? But then like as he continues to train with Coach Kamigawa, who's like the head trainer of the Kamigawa gym, obviously, right? He starts growing in strength and building up muscle and dedicating his body to training, and he becomes a full-time professional boxer, right? So that's how the story is structured. It's literally his life just revolves around boxing. And as he continues to grow, he gets sort of like this, not notoriety, he gets more fame and recognition as a strong boxer, and specifically he starts fighting stronger and stronger people as he works his way up to the top, right? And this is super cool because even though like Ippo is like fighting strong people, it's not just about the fights themselves. It's about showing like that hard work overcomes this and like how badly you want it, right? Because one thing that the author does that's really interesting, George Morikawa is the name of the author. He shows a little bit of the boxer's life before they fight Ippo. And so usually they'll have a motivation or a reason that they need to win or whatever, and then that shows their conviction and their drive to win. And sometimes they underestimate Ippo, but as he makes a significant amount of like he starts overcoming stuff, he'll definitely like, you know, become less of an underdog, and then to the point where people were just like, they started calling him the Wind God at a certain point because he was just like decimating challengers left and right to the point where he just had no one else left in like Japan to fight, and he had to eventually take on the world. And specifically, there are fights in there that I just genuinely love, and characters that I love, like, regardless, right? So, obviously, people love the Date, right? Date is, like, probably a fan favorite character. He's, like, a veteran. Ippo's, like, Ippo's never beaten him, and he's, like, one of the few people that can say that, right? Another character in particular that's really great, Sendo. Takeshi Sendo, the Tiger of Naniwa, is also a really good and interesting character, right? He's like, honestly, over Miyata, I'd say he's Ippo's biggest rival, because with Sendo, I feel like Ippo's mostly a passive guy most of the time, and he doesn't want to hurt anyone. Even when he's like fighting a match, there's rarely any time where he's gonna go in there and he's like, yo, I'm gonna decimate this guy. But whenever he hops into a match with Sendo, he's just like, ooh, I can't wait to knock this dude out. Say, yo, you know what? Throw some hands. What's up? I'm ready right now. I literally can't wait to beat you. The only person that could ever make Ippo like get like not even angry, but just like put them black Air Forces on and like, yo, what's up? I'm trying to do whatever you trying to do. What's up? Is Sendo. Like, even with Miyata, every time Miyata comes around, Ippo's just like, oh man, Miyata's so cool. Oh my god. Everyone, even in the show and the manga and stuff like that, dude's just like, yo, are you gay? Like, what? Like, every time Miyata comes around, you start blushing. Like, bro, like, I don't know. I like Miyata as a character because he is a good rival for Ippo. However, I do think that we are getting blue-balled hard for this, right? Like, it doesn't make sense that I do believe it's probably going to be the final fight in the show, but I feel like the rivalry between Ippo versus Miyata isn't there without their fights, because they did fight in the beginning and it ended in Ippo's victory. So, or maybe like, I guess like, if you want to, I think they consider themselves tied because Ippo got into the ring with Miyata, and it ended up like the first time he fought him, he lost, and the second time but that was before they were pros, right? And so, okay, now it's like we're building up to this Miyata fight, and they're both individually building themselves up. And Miyata right now is a threat. You know, he's like, I think Morikawa considers him the third strongest fighter, pound for pound, in all Ippo. So right now, number 1 is Takamura, number 2 is Ricardo Martinez, and then number 3 is Miyata. And he put Ippo at like number 8, which I believe that's like the former Ippo before what happened to him in the manga. I think we can move into spoilers now. So if you're watching this video and you haven't seen the manga yet and you're only in anime only, please stop watching this video because I'm gonna get into spoilers, right? So Ippo is retired right now. He is he's not boxing anymore. My son took too many L's and he's completely given up. And some people are taking some contention with that. And I get why they'd say that, because it's been about 4 years, 3-4 years since Ippo retired. and I get it. I understand the angriness of it. However, I know at one point, because like I said, this anime and manga has been out since like the 80s, you know. I know for a fact that at one point, people in this community were like, oh, Ippo never loses. The things have no stakes and stuff like that. Aoki Kimura, the only one to lose to give attention to the story. And then when Ippo actually loses, not only does he lose in a shocking way twice in a row, we also know that, like, this loss had consequences, right? You can't ever argue about it again, right? So, okay, so let's go into timeline with this, right? So with Ippo, he became Japanese champion, and up until the what's the dude's name that was like the serial killer? What was it? His first name wasn't Ryo, because that's Mashima. The dude, dang it, what's his name? Sawamura. There we go. I can't believe I blanked on Sawamura's name. So he was Sawamura was let me see, Ryuhei. There we go. That's what I'm like, what the fuck is this nigga's name? Okay, yeah. So Sawamura, I think up until the point where he was fighting Sawamura, Ippo was like feeling like a little bit of the fatigue of being a champion, because people were targeting him directly, trying to take his championship from him, and they were trying to do things to counter him. I believe like right after the Sawamura fight is when Ippo started growing, and he started. I think he put like a seal on the Dempsey roll and everything like that, and he was like going harder with trying to actually grow as a boxer again. And that's why they was like, oh, from now on, we're still challengers because we're growing and stuff like that. And, alright, boom. So Ippo started fighting people in Japan, and then at a certain point, there's no more people left in Japan for him to fight. So he started fighting people from other Asian countries like Taiwan and Vietnam and stuff like that. And they pose challenges to him too. And he becomes so strong that people start calling him the Wind God. So then he gets his world ranking up to the point where he's like number 3. Number 2 is his guy named Alfredo Gonzalez, and number 1 is a person named Ricardo Martinez. Now, Ricardo Martinez is the number 1 world featherweight champion for the WBA championship, which is the World Boxing Association, right? Ricardo Martinez is by far the strongest boxer that Ippo's ever gonna fight. I don't even think that Miyata's going to be technically stronger than Ricardo. I feel like that'd be kind of weird to say, like, oh, both of these guys are stronger than Ricardo now. Like, I don't see. I do feel like Ippo versus Miyata is inevitable, but I don't think that it's going to be like, oh, both of them are stronger than Ricardo. And even if Ippo does beat Ricardo eventually, because just seeing Ippo in the ring with Ricardo is going to be something crazy. Like, I can't even wait for that, right? But Ricardo Martinez is a Mexican boxer, and he's like known as a super champion. He's never lost a match. He's only won by knockout. He's absolutely demolished anyone he's gotten into the ring with. They've never even he's never even taken a knockdown, even in sparring, up until recently. And the only person to do that was Sendo, right? Which Sendo is like my favorite character in the show, right? So Ippo's goal is to fight Ricardo, and he's fought Ricardo before in a sparring match, but Ricardo absolutely demolished him, right? So for Ippo to get there, he has to get through the second contender, who's another Mexican boxer known as Alfredo Gonzalez, and he's basically the barrier of entry for anyone trying to challenge Ricardo, because he's tried to challenge Ricardo twice and he's lost twice, and he wants to get a third title shot at him, but Ricardo doesn't want to fight him because he just doesn't feel the point in fighting someone that is that he's already beaten twice without seeing any different result, right? He's gonna say the result's gonna be the same, right? So Ricardo Martinez is supposed to be like this insurmountable like wall that Ippo has to overcome. And on his way to doing that, he lost to Alfredo Gonzalez, and there was a fear that he was going to be punch drunk because he wasn't able to draw straightly, he wasn't training the same way, and they felt like Ippo was getting weaker. So they all assumed that he was punch drunk, but he had no symptoms. However, this is true to life, like brain injuries and stuff like that. They don't make themselves apparent, and basically, if you see signs of your brain getting injured, it's better to quit while you're ahead before you hit something and then you're actually really fucked. Like, no, you have CTE. Like, if you can have some symptoms or whatever, but they might not be so major that, like, they'll take major signs and stuff like that. But if you do like healing, then it'll be fine. But if you get to the point where it's irreversible brain damage, that's your life right there. And, you just won't recover. And we've seen that with Nakota, where he was punch drunk at one point, and he's just like, yeah, I've never recovered from this. Like, I'm like, it's not as bad as when I was like first hit, but I'm still like permanently damaged from this. This is not something that you want to take lightly, right? So Ippo lost to Alfredo, and then he took 10 months off, and he came back and he fought some, I think his name is Antonio Guerrera or whatever, right? And this guy was like, he got a world ranking, but he was like no one. He was from like he was like from like Taiwan or something like that, and he was literally just like a match for Ippo, because Ippo been training his new Dempsey roll, because his problem with the Dempsey roll is that that's his like strongest technique, and he was trying to use it, and it was strong, and he was, using ways to, like, stop people from countering it. But the problem is that when he's doing the Dempsey roll, he's swinging from left to right. If someone either takes a step back or just times his movement, he's getting hit. So Ippo's idea was like, okay, what if I can do a Dempsey roll that, like, its trajectory isn't, left to right or even up to down? What if it's a circle? And I can move, I can train my body to move any way I want, shift my body any way I want, so that I can move, and like with precision and speed. That's the thing. And like basically just have the looseness in his muscles. So he had to train his muscles a lot for that. So it took him 10 months. He gets back in the ring and he's trying to do the new Dempsey roll, but he can't. He's tripping over himself. He's, messing up. He's taking downs and whatnot. To the point where he basically, I guess he like trips and like he gets knocked out basically, like straight up knocked out cold by this rookie. And literally people were in the match, in the ring, like not in the ring but in the stands, like Miyata and Sendo, and they're all like, even Mashiba I think, and they're all like, this guy that's in the ring with Ippo, like he's literally just a placeholder for Ippo to test, like he's a punching bag basically. And everyone's like, yo, because Ippo's first loss in the series is to Eiji Date. And after Ippo lost, because when Ippo first was fighting, for his first 10 matches, he was undefeated. He became rookie king after beating Sendo. It was a hard fight, and the only thing left he had to do was fight Date, and he tried to get the championship, he couldn't do it. So he took some time off and he came back with the Dempsey roll on his own. And for a while it really did dominate. It was really good. And then he realized that after his other losses that he just wasn't able to keep the Dempsey roll as it is. So that's why he was like Dempsey roll 2.0. And he kind of learned it, but it wasn't perfect. And that's why he mainly lost, right? So now that he came back, he still lost twice, and then after that, he had some issues with his girlfriend, air quotes girlfriend, and Ippo is now retired. I get it why people might be upset by this, but me personally, I don't think that it's a big issue, because it actually shows weight and consequences. Because where we're at in the story right now is even better, which I'll get into in a bit, right? This video is already kind of long, so I don't think I'm going to break down each character. I could talk about Sendo, I could talk about Takamura and stuff like that. I'll probably choose a little bit about Takamura. But I'm not going to talk about Aoki, Kimura, I'm not going to talk about Itagaki, because I've already been talking about Ippo for the longest, right? Okay, so how do I overall feel about the story and what's going on right now in the story? So with Ippo right now, I think he's going to get back into the ring really soon. And the reason why is because when he first retired, Morikawa was teasing us, but he wasn't really like bringing it up. You know, he was solidifying that no, Ippo is retired. Now we had some lulls, we had some training things with some other characters, right? Now it's like everyone's questioning Morikawa showing Ippo fighting again, like not fighting, but like training right against Vork and all of that stuff, and it mirrors other situations, right, where it reflects other characters. So I think by next year, because we're already in August, so like, you know, 4 months, because, you know, there's other fights going on right now in the story that are being built up. After all of this, like, this current arc is done, Ippo's getting back in the ring. Now, I don't know how Ippo's getting back in the ring. I could speculate that maybe something was going to happen with Sendo that might inspire him to get back in the ring. However, I really hope that Sendo doesn't go down like that. I really hope that Sendo isn't going to be a character that, like, you know, becomes a martyr just for Ippo's growth. Because I feel like Sendo does get shafted a lot. I actually have a really cool idea of what it could happen at the end of the series in, like, an epilogue, right? Because Ricardo Martinez is an WBC champion. There's two championship titles that are recognized by the world, right? So there's the WBC and there's the WBA. Now there's other championships out there, like there's the WBF, which is the World Boxing Federation Championship, and that one is more of like for for America and stuff like that. And then there's like the OPBF Championship, which is like, it's like the Oriental Pacific Federation Championship or stuff like that. Those are world titles, but they're not like the world. Like, you beat every single person in the world who could box, right? Those aren't like those. So those, the two main titles that you're going for if you're trying to become world champion, is WBC or WBA. Now, like I said before, Ricardo's a WBA champion, and he's like undisputed. He has never lost, right? Now, he could easily go for the WBC, or even if you want to stay in WBA, he could go up a weight class. I believe after featherweight is a junior lightweight, right? He could easily have done all this stuff, but Ricardo decided to stay in featherweight, and he's decided to stay the only, like, he didn't even like unify and become the undisputed champion. And the question is why? Because one of the things that we know about Ricardo is that he's bored right now with fighting because he feels like he's too strong. So we don't know anything about Ricardo. We don't know his motivations. We don't know like what drives him to fight. So the question is that what about Ricardo is stopping him from going up in these weight classes, or what's stopping him from trying to unify the title? And the reason why is weird, because he fought the current / former WBC champion. So the person who made it to WBC champion literally left his title because he wanted to fight Ricardo. And the reason why he couldn't stay champion, because if you're a WBC champion, you can hold both titles at once. Your ranking, you can hold two rankings at the same time, to the point where you're champion for both. That's what Takamura did. Takamura, I believe in his middleweight, became double champion for undisputed champion in WBC and WBA before he eventually moved up to super middleweight, right? So the question is why with Ricardo. That's interesting that he is, because like the champion for WBC and featherweight literally couldn't get a match with him unless he like dropped his title, because Ricardo absolutely didn't want to become WBC champion. And the fact that he beat the WBC champion, it's not a fact of Ricardo being scared or like he doesn't, like, you know, it's weird. It's really weird. I can't wait till we get like a Ricardo character arc, because it has to be some motivation. All of this is intentional. Hopefully it's intentional, right? So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing if Ippo gets back into the ring as soon, because we're going through a Vork fight, and then we have the Wally fight, and then we're probably going to get the Sendo versus Ricardo fight, and then right after that is when Ippo gets in the ring. Like I said, I really hope that Sendo doesn't die. Yeah, but I really do enjoy Hajime and Ippo. There's so many things I can talk about. This video, I guess, did feel is going on for a really long time, and it is kind of like unscripted, so it might feel a bit like weird in some areas, like what am I talking about? But I just wanted to really drop a discussion video. This is something I really liked. And I'll definitely probably be talking about more things that I like, then probably I'll create a series about things that I dislike. I'm going to cut the video here just because it's getting really long. And I'll probably have to make some cuts to add some stuff or whatever. So yeah, disclaimer, this is a video about what I like and what I, okay, I'm gonna cut that out part too. Every time I try to do a scripted segment, it makes it worse. That's why I don't do it scripted, right? Alright, disclaimer, this is a video about me just talking about a series that I like. There's no format here. It's literally just me firing off whatever first thing comes to my mind, just like a regular conversation. Things might sound a little bit out of order or out of whack, or like plot points might not get followed through completely. If you feel like I'm just saying whatever, sorry about that. It's just I'm not scripting these videos. I'm literally just talking first thing that comes to my mind. So it's gonna sound all a little bit weird, but I do hope you enjoy the video. I do want you guys to keep watching, so thank you for watching, and hopefully you enjoy the video. Now, as for the people who are at the end of the video, thank you guys for watching. I'm glad you guys were on stream. It's actually really late right now, so unfortunately I'm gonna have to not play video games because I'm hungry and I'm tired. And I kind of want to just go to bed because I have to work tomorrow. But I'm off tomorrow. I'm off Wednesday. So when I get home from work, I'll probably do another discussion video. I'll probably try to make a, because it's so much easier to like record and stream at the same time. So what I'll be doing, I'll make another video tomorrow. Actually, I'll guarantee I'm going to make another video tomorrow for you guys. And then I'll play video games for sure tomorrow. So thank you guys for watching.